Not bad, you right?
Yeah. It's a Sunday, you know.
Just been wandering around this fucking maze for the last couple of hours, like.
Bit lost.
Yeah, it's alright. It's funny, I just finished watching Lost. It took me 10 years.
What do you think about the ending?
Fucking hell. Everyone has the same expression if you ask them.
Are they just in purgatory?
No one really knows where they are, even the writers.
The idea was that they ended up just in purgatory.
No, basically what happened is the writers just carried on writing without a story, and then it just got to the end, they were like, fuck, we need to clear this up, and couldn't really, and then that was it.
His face was just like that.
Yeah.
Such disappointment.
Yeah, it was disappointing, eh?
Anyway, let's talk about something that wasn't disappointing, and that is your tour with Cancer Bats.
Oh, thanks. That's
Yeah.
a nice compliment to start the interview, isn't it?
That's the last time I saw you was at the Forum.
Okay.
You actually caught me filming your poster outside the venue, and you heckled me. I was that girl.
No way. I didn't recognise it.
Cringe. So was it as good as you thought it was going to be? Because obviously Liam's like a great guy, everything's rad, he's just such a nice fellow, and you have a good time as a band. Was it as good as you thought it was going to be?
It was awesome, and like London is just like, London shows come with a free satchel of like pressure, which does my head in. I like always prefer not other shows because it's just like you just play them normally, but London there's just like all these fucking industry hyenas around just going oh, make it a good one, make it a good one. I'm like, we try and make all of them a good one, and that one had so much pressure to it, but for what we actually all came off really stoked, which was to get 5 out of 5 of all of us happy is quite a tall order. Normally it's like, did you have a good show? I had a very good show, and someone's just like,
Yeah, and the tour in general, like you said with the Bats guys, is that they're so tight as a unit together, and they've been doing it a long time. Like they're just so safe, and like that was nice. Like there was no. Sometimes when you meet up with bands and stuff, it's a bit awkward at first, and then it takes a while to get involved and start getting on and making friendships and stuff. But because we met them before, it was straight in. So it
Nice
was,
thing to think about, isn't it?
yeah, and
it was just nice to just get on, and we shared backstages every time, did a bit of skating, and just really hung out like heavily.
we share quite a lot of similar sort of ideas on stuff, I think. So like we always just could, like, they're just really good dudes to just chat with and chill with. Like they rode with us a few nights and stuff, and it was nice to sort of spend a month with a band who, like, there's so much of the time when you play with bands and you're like amazing dudes, not really into their band. With Bats, we're like amazing dudes, and I can watch them every day and all of it. So like, a pleasure to go on tour with them.
What are the conversations like when, say, your management go, we'd love you to tour with us, it'd be great for you, but you're like, I hate the music. Do you like
It
push?
does happen every now and again. I mean, the majority of the time we're just happy to tour regardless of who it is, but every now and then you get somebody and it's like, we kind of really wouldn't like that.
It always
But, you
depends
know,
on the
it's got-
opportunity, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because if it's like, it's like we're going on tour because hopefully there's going to be a crowd of people there who will be a good bunch of people to play in front of, like people who might like our band or share similar interests with other bands. So like, I'll let it go if there's a band I'm like, I hate those guys. I'm like, yeah, but if they got loads of really dedicated fans who would maybe like our band, it's like an opportunity to steal other people's fans, isn't it?
A lot of the time as well, meeting the band and getting to know their sort of ethics and way they work and what they like as people completely changes a band for you. For example, like, I'm not like a big pop punk fan at all, and when we went and played Warped Tour a couple of years ago, and we heard about Story So Far, and like for me that was like something I wasn't really into, and then we met the guys and they were awesome, and they said that they liked our band and stuff, and then so we went and checked them out, and they're like, now the album before the newest one, I've not really had a chance to listen to the last release, but the album before that I absolutely loved it. So it's like when you meet the guys in a band, it can sometimes flip it around for you.
Or like it's a good opportunity to be like, if there's loads of, because like fans and the music scene generally is quite like there's lots of like, sort of not peer pressure, but like you're sort of told what you kind of should be a fan of and like shit because of like the media basically and everything. So sometimes I'm like, there's a band who are huge who I think are shit, but they have loads of fans, and it's like, sometimes it's like, let's go and show everyone what it looks like if you just play normal, like, and you're not like pretending to be someone else. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's like an opportunity to go and be like,
stripped back.
Yeah, and go and be like,
Real.
hey guys, like check this out.
I was watching some old interviews, and you said you had an electronic phase you were going through. You were really into electronic
No, I
music.
just went for a very short. I'm never really into electronic music.
A lie, isn't it?
No, I got really into the last Ed Shikari album.
It's so good.
It's sick, innit? And it just like this little electronic thing happened where I was just like, oh, I love this. That's my only electronic thing, pretty much.
I think it just comes down to the fact that if anything done well, you can appreciate it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
And they have a great
regardless of
message.
what it is or what genre, like, as long as it picks your ears up, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'll listen to anything, really.
They're from the UK and they've got a really good message and thing, and like because I used to like Ed Shikari when I was younger and that, and then I missed out a few years really, and then I listened to this last album and I was just like, yo, this is sick. So
It's just nice when a band has something to say that's positive for our
Yeah,
generation,
that's
isn't it?
exactly
Actually
right.
doing something.
we have a very similar sort of like similar idea in the movement.
They're a
side
little
of
bit
things.
political
Yeah.
and like, they're a lot political, and so we have a bit of it, and like, so yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to see someone else in the UK just not talking shit. Do you know what I mean?
Makes a change, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now with Brainwashed, you said you really feel like you found your sound. I know that's a cliche line, but you did say it.
Yeah. Well, I think for me it's because so much we went through such a crazy process of writing the record. We stopped and we started loads of times. It were like, and we had all the process of getting over the hurdle with Lost His Throat and everything. It were like, a lot of it was, there were no. Normally with a cycle, there's a label and your management, everyone being like, write a record, we've got to release it. Album cycle, the conventional album cycle, like 18 months or some shit. This is the reason bands fail on the second record, is because they're forced into doing this, and they can't write a record that's as good as the first one because they're forced into doing it.
Because there's not as much expectation on your first one, so you're relaxed, you're chilled, and you write a record.
You're
that
right,
like.
naturally.
Right for you, isn't
Yeah,
it?
you're right for you. This one, you're like, oh, we've got to live up to all this shit. And we were like really pissed off about that, we hated it. And then luckily enough, this terrible thing happened that ended up being a
True
huge
Sleep's
blessing.
fashion, I've
Yeah.
got
Yeah, it's
ill.
pretty standard.
You know.
Something happens, but then it gives us this window, and like, so we just got to go over it and over it and write it loads of times really, and like keep digging in, just like architects really, and kind of like we got to the point where it was just like, if you like, rather than trying to write something that's in the box that we had from the last record, they were like, let's just, if you like sound of something, just put it in. And for me, I got to dig my teeth in harder on this record than probably our
Kind
last
of a
one.
thing as well, we wanted to get out of the box with it, because it's like, metalcore's fine, I don't have a problem with metalcore, but when you just stamped a metalcore band, when really our influences are like punk rock and like straight up punk and hardcore and metal,
And then like, yeah,
and
loads
it's
of
all
metal
those different
bands.
things, and even some pop. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we feel like we do have like a very metalcore sort of style in a way, but we also have these other styles going on. So we went into that trying to like get rid of that stigma a little bit, and try and just break out of that box a bit. But I
So
think
you sell clothes on Impericon and everyone decides exactly what your band sounds like, do you know what I mean? So we just kind of wanted to make something that were like, you can be a fan of other things and like this too, do you know what I mean?
I think everyone's very accepting of merging genres these days. I think it's becoming more of a thing, which is
like
great.
diverse lineups and
Yeah.
merging genres and stuff. So
I wish people wouldn't put a name on some stuff, do you know what I mean? And like just
listen to it with open
listen to it
ears.
for what it is. Like,
I've got to wind this up now. I think you've got lots of press to
everyone's
do.
throwing eyes
I
our
know.
way,
It's like,
aren't they? I don't like it. We call it pressure. Pressure.
Felt it.
Sure.
Yeah, get it. Good.
Get it?
Yeah, I'm going to use it.
Could be like your
This
new
has been pleasant, though.
could do really pressuring interviews and they could be called pressure.
I'm taking that, stealing it. Thanks, coined. Thanks for talking to me. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you.
Being here all day, or you gonna see
Probably.
some bands?
Oh, who knows? See how
I
it
saw
goes.
no one
Watch us
yesterday.
at, like,
a little
10
bit.